out like that. We ain't going out like that. Watch me go and bounce right back. Cause we ain't going out like that, no. We ain't going out like that. We ain't going out like that. Watch me go and bounce right back. We ain't going out like that.
Well, thanks for joining us. Or should we thank John Cicenti, your agent, for bringing
John.
you here?
Well, what is it, a Cicente soiree, or is it, what was it, a Cicente Fandango? I've been to a couple Cicente Fandangos before. So I hope there's nothing scheduled too early tomorrow morning in the whole schedule of things if you're going to a Cicente Fandango tonight.
So you and I go back a long way. We worked together in Notre Dame in 2000. Yep. You were GA.
Yep.
I was the recruiting coordinator. I remember we spent a few nights at the linebacker lounge contemplating our life decisions.
Futures.
And where this career was going to go after Coach Davey had a bad day. But look at us now. We're sitting here on stage in Las Vegas. Congratulations on the new job.
Thank you. It's a lot of fun. This is a great city. I'm sure hopefully y'all are enjoying it. It's a great city. Fun job. I think we're kind of a sleeping giant, and we're going to build something special.
What drew you to this program?
Well, you know what's unique is to get back into coaching, it had to be not just the right opportunity. It had to be the exact right opportunity for me. There were a lot of opportunities people would call, and it just didn't feel right. There was a checklist of things that I wanted in a program, but then it also had to feel great. And when it was, when you look, I don't know if anybody's been like, I don't want to have to come in and build. I didn't want to walk in and say, okay, a lot of the places I've been, you walk in and, I walk into Florida and say, hey, okay, our facility is the same one they were in 1991. And you have to walk 1.5 miles to get to practice. And I didn't want to have to walk in and have to build something from scratch. And UNLV, we have unbelievable facilities. We play in Allegiant Stadium. We have a tremendous stadium to play in. So everything was already kind of built in today's world where I didn't have to come in and start from scratch. The next one is I wanted the opportunity to win championships. And, the last year, game away from going to the college football playoff with a bye in the first round. So when you look at that opportunity, the program was in great shape. And then I wanted a place that felt special. And I think I like Las Vegas. I think I kind of fit really well in here. It's kind of my town. This is my kind of town, Las Vegas is.
Well, you said you just took your daughter to see. Who did you go see? You just think we were at Carrie Underwood on Saturday night. Was it for your daughter or for you?
For my daughter, it was her 13th birthday.
All right.
But 2 nights before that, we were with Darius Rucker. You're in the sports and entertainment capital of the world. One of the unique things, and you look for our players, and I know John does an amazing job with the Vegas Bowl, and everybody here, it's about you create all these unique experiences for players when they come visit bowl games. I offer to them that almost on a regular basis. If you look in we've had players at, we create experiences for them that you're 30 minutes from here, you're on an ATV. Then you can be on a boat in Lake Mead. You can be skiing 45 minutes away. Our players are at Michael Jackson 1 show. The next week, they're going to David Blaine. Next week, they're ringside at UFC championship fights. Then they're at the Golden Knights game doing a meet and greet. There's so many different experiences that we get to offer these young men as coming in college that I think it is it's a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun. Plus, restaurants, you can get anything you want right at your fingertips here in the city, and I think it makes it really cool.
You've coached at some big-time programs, had a very high level of success. How do those experiences, how are those going to help you to continue to build this program here?
Well, I think one of the things that really got me back into it, and it was kind of a double whammy this fall, too, of seeing it. I went back, we celebrated the 2014 Mississippi State team. That was the first team ever ranked number 1 in the College Football Playoff Bowl. And you went back and you got to see all the guys now 10 years later. When you talk to people individually, but you get everybody as a group. You get their families around and you can say, hey, Coach, boy, the influence you made on my life. And you have wives coming up and saying, boy, he talks about all the influence you had in their life. they're coming up and saying, Coach, I didn't always get it while I was playing for you. I get it now and understand it now. And you realize I'm kind of a hypocrite. Like if I have a pet peeve in life, it's people, God blesses people with gifts. They don't utilize them, and then they want to complain about it afterwards, right? Get my coach face on for that one. Like I start getting fired up. But all of a sudden, I'm sitting there and saying, hey, my gift is probably helping young men, grow and accomplish and achieve their dreams. And not that I am not loving my time at ESPN and calling games and on the broadcast side, but I'm not maximizing that gift to help young people. Then I come to the College Football Hall of Fame the day out here where our AD Eric Harper's trying to chase me around Vegas to meet with me a little bit too. And like, hey, can we come meet? And we're at the Alex Smith, and he's like, hey, I wouldn't be here without you. And when you think about that positive, why you coach, that positive impact you make on people's lives is unbelievable. And that's what really drew me back in to wanting to get back in to help people. And when you talk about this experience, I kind of came back in, haven't been out for the last 3 years, and over the change of college football has helped. But if you come see our staff, we have a young coaching staff. Kind of brings me back to when I was at Utah in 2004. I kind of want to replicate that. We were a bunch of young guys, hungry, excited. And when you go off of who was on that staff and the success those guys, the people on that staff went to have, pretty remarkable. And, I wanted to do that with our young guys, that I want to help not just our players grow. I want to help our coaches grow. I want to help our administration grow. And when you talk about that experience of being at different programs, from small schools to big schools, of how I can apply, how I can look and say, hey, we might not be operating at the budget of an SEC or a Big Ten school, but how do we create a major program and do that on a lesser budget for the administration? Hey, are we growing? Are we building? Are we providing what we need? You know what we don't need? I don't need a 4-story marble waterfall at the front of my facility. We can cut that out of the budget. However, are we providing these services to the players and all the experiences to the players and the things they need to be a major program? And, and with the coaches, putting them in position to succeed. With the players, talking about developing. I share with our guys the one thing that seems lost in the transfer portal world, which is a shame, for a lot of guys, is they forget about development. They're worried about production, not worried about development. And you have to worry about development and grow. So those are some of the things I've brought with me.
Well, that's a perfect transition into my next question. College football's evolving very rapidly. You have NIL, you have transfer portal. Can you still do what you just said? Transfer portal opened today, by the way. Is that right?
Yeah. It did. Isn't that great?
How do you do it?
I had a couple coaches call me and say, hey, you just being out of it the last couple of years helped. I don't know that I could have transitioned from the coach that I was on a daily basis, the evolution over the last 3 years, to where we are today, to sit down and have the conversations with the kids I'm having. I would have been, it would have frustrated me too much. Now, looking at it from the outside in, I think it helps. I think one thing, coaches always evolve. I'll share this, and I'm going to stand up for coaches right now. A lot of times when you get in, when you're NCAA or different meetings or different things, and I'm sure you all know, coaches can be a colossal pain in the ass, right?
No.
You're all right. You can say that. I know us, right? However, you guys will understand this. Coaches will figure it out, okay? We might not want to be at a luncheon at 11 a.m., but we'll figure it out in the end. Yeah, all of the rules, all of the things, all of the changes, coaches will figure it out. Coaches actually should be the good guys because they know what's going to happen. They see the ramifications of things that have happened. I remember being in an NCAA meeting like, hey, transfer portal will just be to get paperwork off our desk. I said it'll be free agency. NIL's only for those top athletes that can really sign legitimate endorsements. I was in a meeting and I said, it's only going to affect recruiting. They're like, I have nothing to do with recruiting. Okay. So basically now you have transfer portal with NIL, free agency, and college football. A coach could have told you that was coming if you presented them with it, and other people might not have seen it that way. So I think you still get into it. I still think you get into coaching and developing. I think you have to change your mindset around how guys are processing it, how these young kids are dealing with things, all the different pressure they're dealing with it, and the opportunities and how they feel it. And you have to try to help guide and advise them through that.
We're going to talk about bowl games in a minute, but if you were in charge of college football, how would you fix it?
All right. I'm an old school guy, right? So, one, I would get it set where, okay, and I'm not a lawyer, so I got to manage through it of trying to figure it out. Okay, is you set the contract terms for the kids. Okay, it's a one, 2, 3, whatever a kid wants to sign. There's a buyout on his end if they want to leave. There's these things. If you want to do it one, it's a 1 year. So you start in recruiting. When you sign the letter of intent, you're there until the transfer portal at the end of the season, which has to be December because, unfortunately for us, you still have to go by college rules, and so they have to get there for a spring semester. I'd eliminate it to one transfer portal. I'd have the schools sign the contracts with the kids, okay? And then the school owns your part of the contract that's negotiated. They own your name, image, and likeness, okay? And there's a cap. This is what it is. So the schools now own the name, image, and likeness. So you cannot pay a booster. You can't go out and get more money for a kid over the cap because that would be breaking a contract. You could go sue that person, right? Because they're trying to give them name, image, and likeness. A lot of coaches, when you sign a contract, the university owns my name, image, and likeness. So I can't go do my own commercials. I can't go make money beyond it in certain things. I guess I could. It has to be approved through the university to do those things. I would get back, honestly, I'd love to see 8, 9-team conferences. Once, and we'll get to bowls in a second. I will be biased because I'm a bowl believer. I love bowl games and what they represent, what they stand for. I love it. I think once the playoffs started, once as a coach, say we're going to go to a 2-team playoff. Now we're going to a 4-team playoff. Once the cat's out of the bag, it's not coming back in. But I would go to a 9-team, 8, 9-team conferences at the top level. I'd love to get it like British soccer with relegation and kind of have a match below where you can go last place goes and plays up, and maybe you still could do that you have a matching lower conference and the 9th place team plays the top team of the lower division to go up in a bowl game. To go do that. The first and second place teams go to a 16-team playoffs. Then you mix and match at bowl games. So and you go back and you break those conferences up regionally as best you can. So you get back to having regional rivalries. You get back to what made college football great. Hey, leagues are going to cross over games, and you're going to play 8 conference games. You're going to play 4 non-conference crossovers against different conferences playing each other different years.
Pro model, really.
Pro model.
Yeah.
But then third place of the West Coast plays third place of the Midwest in a bowl game. Fourth place plays fourth place. Fifth place plays fifth, sixth, seventh, all the way down. And then you could go, if you do it with relegation, which would be really interesting, 9th place plays the champion of the lower division coming up. And you kind of go to that model, but I think it would bring back a lot of local rivalries. I think it would be back. If anybody really wants my whole deal, then you take those 8 conferences, you go bid them out, each division that you own the home game rights to those. So you have 8 different divisions that you can sell to all the TV networks. You can go buy a division. You own the home rights for all the teams in that division. Of however you want to do it. It's regional, so you can set your time slots where I have a West Coast region, I have this central region, a mid-region, so I can fill my TV time slots. All of that money goes into a giant pool, and then it gets dispersed amongst the 72 teams, and maybe a lower cut to the lower level teams. They get a small percentage to help college football overall. That's how I'd fix it.
Simple.
Seems really easy.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
Common sense doesn't always add into college athletics.
If it makes too much sense, it's probably not going to happen. Well, you've been a part of a lot of different bowl games, both as an assistant and a head coach. Some were for the national championship, and others were a reward for a successful season, maybe in a year where you didn't have high expectations. How important are all the bowl games to a college football program, especially when you're trying to build it?
I think bowls are critical. As I said, I mean, growing up as a kid, New Year's Day, one of the greatest days of the year, right? I mean, you could flip to channel. I mean, I knew exactly what game was on what channel when I was growing up. I think bowl games are special. I've been involved, and I've been fortunate enough to do them. I have two. All right, I have the Liberty Bowl. One as an assistant coach, one as a head coach, and I got to call as an announcer. I have Duke's Mayo, which I won. It wasn't Duke's Mayo.
I missed you on that broadcast this year.
This
You
year,
could have waited to take the job.
I know. Aaron Murray called me, and I'm like, "Hey, you better step up your game on this one right now." But I won it as a head coach, and I got to call it as well. Bowl games are a reward, and they're an unbelievable reward. And I think the experience of bowl games is what makes it so special. You have a great year, and I hate in today's world for anybody to downplay it is an absolute tragedy. And I think too many people do. It's like, when you're a team, okay, I took over a Mississippi State program, and they're like, Coach, I mean, if we can beat Ole Miss and get to a bowl game every once in a while, that would be tremendous, okay? And you look, my second year, we have a great year. We go to the Gator Bowl. I mean, the entire state of Mississippi shows up in Jacksonville for a New Year's Day bowl game. We're playing Michigan. I mean, we have 3-1 over Michigan, and you're Mississippi State. But those kids, to get to experience that, and I just want to touch on a couple things about that game. We have a great year. They get to be rewarded with a great bowl game on New Year's Day. We have half the kids on the team was the first time they ever seen the ocean. You know, I mean, that experience alone. We took them to the beach. They get to see the ocean. What a great educational experience for these young guys. It's a reward to get to finish with a win and celebrate the season. For you, for your fans, for the players, they get to experience something they've never experienced before. I love it. You know, I love what it offers for the young people, for the experiences, for the bowl games. That's my take on it, and I think they are. I think they're critical, and I think they're special. They're so unique. I can tell you the best way. I'm sure you have questions too, from a head coach's model, how to run them and help the coaches out a little bit if you want to. You don't want to hear that?
Tell us how do you approach bowl season?
Well,
there are coaches. You think about a bowl game. You were 7-3 in bowl games, right?
Yeah.
Theoretically, you're playing another really good team who had a successful season, right?
You're usually playing an equal team.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So how do you? You know, there are some great coaches that have really bad bowl records, and some have, you know, depending on your approach to the bowl game, you know, may have won more than you've lost.
Well, you always build it up. I always use the bowl game to build. Mississippi State, we use it to build our entire program. The first couple weeks were always basically a spring ball. You're getting all those guys that, you know, even in today's world, you think of the transfer portal world now. I'm going to take a bowl game. I'm going to say, hey, all the guys that were role players or backups last year, this first 2 weeks is the start. You're the next step. You're now stepping into the starting role for next season. Let's get ready to go do that and go play and learn and see where your role is going to be. Hey, get all the seniors off the field. They don't need to come practice. This is a prep for next year's team. And all of a sudden, you have some young guys coming out there saying, oh, I'm kind of the guy now. All right, I don't need to leave my school. I'm kind of going to be a starter. This looks pretty good for me. So you use it to grow and develop players that way. Then as you get ready into bowl season, the key to a great bowl game is winning. I'll just share that with you. I mean, your feeling on the bowl game is much greater when you win than when you lose. So don't get upset. Like you're right. I mean, as the coaches grade your bowl, okay, always take it 2 notches down. If they lost the bowl, like you get wherever they graded you, yeah, you can say, okay, they lost, so it's going to be a very different mindset because it just always leaves a bad taste in your mouth. I've always felt this to help coaches out. Scheduling timing is key. One of the trickiest thing, because I talked to John about this a bunch, that I always with the playoffs and the schedule and the timing, it's a shame that it has to be exclusive windows. I'm a college football fan. If I turn on a playoff game and it's a crap game, sorry, I'm a flipper. I'd love to flip to see another bowl. I'd rather hey, this game looks like it's in the bag. Let's go somewhere else to watch one. Because the timing. I've always tried to protect Christmas for players as much as you can to create a Christmas experience for the players. Now, we've played, as you know, several Christmas bowl games where Christmas Day, wake up, and again, as a coach, a unique experience. We had a giant tree in the hotel present, like all the bowl gifts we had wrapped. They only got them on Christmas morning wrapped under a tree. I had kids come up to me and say, hey, Coach, so this is what I've heard about this. I've never gotten a Christmas present before in my life. We could never afford it. You know what? Well, you just educated that young person maybe for their family to create different experiences for their kids moving forward. So it is how you embrace it, how you do it, how you coach, how you help coaches. Events at bowl games are fantastic. Try to help the coaches block. As I said, the bowl game is all about win. In the end, you're there to win. And then if you can do it right and enjoy it. I've enjoyed bowl games. I've played people that don't. I look across at other teams, and they're coming to our players, and they're like, we're in meetings all day, all night, all this. Pick a time and be consistent. If you can be consistent with the time. Always think of this, the game, wherever your game is Saturday. Okay, so the day before your game's Friday. You work back the week, right, to help coaches out. So wherever you're playing a game, start counting back for them. If you're going to do a lunch banquet, do it the day before the game. Hayes in the barn, that's Friday. We're just doing our walkthrough Friday night. You might think, the day before the game is big for the nope. Hayes in the barn. If you can do that, you can do whatever you want with the coaches on Friday. Take their Friday, hey, go do this, that for Friday, the day, whatever. I go by Friday, the day before a game. The other games, try to give coaches the morning and the team the morning. So you say, hey, there's no events that start before 3 o'clock or before 2 o'clock. On Friday, all day is yours. All you got to do is a quick walkthrough at night. Okay? Coaches can work around on the Friday. There's a lot of free time. The other days, set a time and make it consistent. So if I'm a coach, hey, great. We're going to meet every morning from 9 to 10:30. We're going to leave. We're going to practice from 11 to 1. Okay, at 1, there's a grab-and-go snack, and then at 2:30, the players are gone. Have a great day, men. Enjoy the rest of the time. Players will enjoy events more. Coaches will be more into having the events at that time. They'll figure out when to watch the film around it. But if all of a sudden one day we have an event in the morning this day, you have an event in the afternoon at this day, you have a lunch the next day, there's no schedule, there's no routine. Coaches, it's hard for them to get into that plan. That's been my deal. As much as we can, keep the game week. Try to set block time for the players. And when the players are done, they're done. And they get to then go to the beach. They get to go see this event. They get to see that event. The players are having a great time. The bowl becomes a reward, not a punishment for them in their mind. It gets something they really enjoy. And they end up playing better. We never had I'll give you a curfew. We give them per diem. Imagine we're playing the Vegas Bowl. Hey, day 1, guys, here's your per diem and no curfew. Enjoy the next night, 9 o'clock at night. We blew all the money last night, Coach. We're all here to go to bed now. You don't have to worry about curfew after the first night. But we try to make it as fun as we can. And the best way to make it fun is you create bowl experiences for the players. Try to create a routine for the players within their schedule. Hey, Coach, how much meeting time do you need? How much practice time do you need? Do you want to practice in the morning? You want to practice late afternoon? How do we keep it as consistent as possible for you to have that great experience?
I want you to elaborate a little bit more on something you started talking about. We mentioned that obviously bowl games are a reward for a successful season, but a lot of people look at it equally as a launching point for the next season, right? Yeah. How do you see bowl games as building momentum for the next year into the future for your program?
I think a lot of it, I think there's the two parts, which is really the development and the practice of the young players before the game to let them go. On the back end of it, and you play the bowl game. You don't play for another 9 months. So, all right, I'll give a great example. 2013, we played in the Liberty Bowl. We had an up and down year. We had to win the last 2 games of the season We're 4-6 to just get bowl eligible. We're playing our third string true freshman quarterback. As one of those years happens, you're in the SEC, you're battling, we're on our third string quarterback. We find a way to win at Arkansas, and I think it was the first time Mississippi State had won in the state of Arkansas in the history of the school in overtime. All of a sudden, we play the next week. Dak Prescott miraculously comes back from injury, middle of the fourth quarter, to lead us back to beat a top 25 Ole Miss team in overtime. We get to go to the Liberty Bowl. All of a sudden, guys start to practice. Guys start to get healthy. We have a healthy team. We played Rice. Steve, sorry, it wasn't a very entertaining game. We started to get good. And our players started to realize, okay, hold on, we're pretty good when we're healthy and we're young. We rolled that game all on the way to a long winning streak that led to us being the number one team in the country the next year. And it was that game, that bowl prep, playing in the game, the momentum it led of that 3-game winning streak to finish the season with almost the entire roster coming back, led us to a huge season the next year. I think in today's world, it'll also be a launching pad. Now, unfortunately, you're going to sit there with teams with opt-outs. That's a newer deal, this opt-out deal for me. I look at players. I don't know why you would. I mean, I guess if you're going to be you're declaring for the draft, you're going to be a first or second round draft pick. You're pretty solidified in your status. Don't play.
Yeah, and there's really not a lot of those. I think what impacts us more
there's
is
64
the transfer portal.
There's
guys.
64 of them, right? They're first or second round guys. The other one can be a launching pad, but you don't really know. And the shame of it is, like I was saying, it's a reward for this last year's team. Now you look at some bowl games, you have to come to grips that's not really your team. That's not the team that played for me all year. My last bowl game was the Cotton Bowl during COVID. I think we had 28 opt-outs that's basically your entire starting offense, and you're playing second and third stringers. Even if I remember our quarterback, Kyle Trask, who's a Heisman finalist, going to get drafted, was playing in the game. And I looked out on the field, and I'm like, I got to pull you. And he's like, I'm playing. Coach, I made the commitment to play. I'm playing. I said, you're going to be a first, second round draft. You're a second round draft pick that year. I said, you're playing with a backup O-line against a really good football team right here. I said, that's with your backup receivers and a backup O-line. So that's not fair to do to you. I can't put you in that position. And so I think that's part of the new world of wondering, do you have a team that's coming up that's looking for momentum the next year, or you have a team that was a great team that all of a sudden it's really not the team that they played with all season that makes it harder. You wish, unless you're one of these primo guys, the whole thing's about development. It gets back to player development. Hey, if you're a senior, why aren't you trying to up your draft stock? You're getting to play another great team. Up your draft stock. Put one more performance on the board. I give UNLV the thing that got me excited about the culture of this program. Played in the LA Bowl last year. There were more coaches opted out of the game with a coaching change than players. And you wonder, hey, is there a good culture at UNLV? Yeah, when you have more coaches opt out than players, there's a great culture within that locker room.
Let's tell some stories. We just heard from ESPN. We heard from Ryan McGee about, how much fun bowl games are. There's great stories of the play on the field, but there's so many great stories of bowl week and the activities. And what are some of your most memorable moments in all the bowl games you've been a part of?
Wow. There's so many great. Obviously, it always ends with holding that trophy. There's nothing like holding that trophy. The relief, the breathing, of winning the game. I learned one, though. I learned early on. Coach, I was a GA. We were together. You remember this from a bowl experience. This is how I learned it all. This is not maybe a positive thing. In some, we're at the Fiesta Bowl. Now you remember that game with Coach Davey. Do you remember how we grinded? We're in a 9:30 at night staff meeting.
It wasn't what you described earlier in terms of your bowl week now. Maybe that's what you
And it helped me because we lost the game, right? We lose the game. And I'm thinking to myself, it was and I looked at the players and I'm like, if I was a player on that team and we're 5-6 going to play our last game of the season, you're thinking, I kind of hope we don't win this game, right? Because I don't want to have to. I wouldn't mind going to see my family and going home for the holidays a little bit because I don't want to have to grind through all of that. That was a grinding experience.
So you jogged my memory. We were 9-2 that year, and nobody thought we'd be very good.
Yeah, we were playing with a third-string
quarterback,
yep.
who I don't think played much after that. Transferred to Indiana, I think.
Yeah.
And we get to the Fiesta Bowl, and we're in the Scottsdale Plaza or the Fairmont Princess, and we're in a staff meeting. One of the donors, you probably remember who it was better than me, comes into our meeting and looks at Coach Davey and said, Coach, I just want to tell you it's good to see the coaches having fun again.
At 9:30 at night.
We all looked at each other like, well, maybe you're having fun on the outside, but I don't know what you're talking about.
Most miserable experience. I remember, okay, so I had some interesting ones. Careful on some of these. So my first bowl game experience, I'm at Syracuse, Coach Pasqualoni. And we go to the Orange Bowl, and we're playing Florida, who was unbelievable, 98 team.
Is that McNabb senior year?
It was McNabb senior year. So, I mean, it is going to be a big-time game. So, I got all kinds of stories. So, I'm like, all right, we're on the beach, right, down in South Beach, having a heck of a time. So, first, I'm on the beach, and we're getting ready. You go out there, and I see some Florida players walking by. And I'm like, oh, geez. I'm like, oh, that's got to be Javon Curse, the freak walking by, right? And someone's like, no, that's his backup. I'm like, all right. We're in a lot of trouble right now. I'm like, that team was loaded. That Florida team was unbelievable. Well, we go out one night. One of the great, as a grad assistant, so you're young. I forget, my bowl host is like, hey, we'll take the GAs out. They got us in a roped-off VIP club on a Sunday night in Miami. Okay? The next morning, we're getting ready for practice, I guess. They come up to my room. I'm on the floor in the bathroom, out cold. Someone wakes me up, like, I come running downstairs. Like, we're getting ready, like I somehow missed the meetings. I got all the cards, everything organized for practice. Coach P's like, what happened? I'm like, it's like, oh, your alarm didn't go off or something bad must, go. He starts freaking out, but I've got everything for practice, Coach. He's like, oh, I'm like, my alarm must not have gone off or something. I don't know how he thought that was possible, that my alarm didn't go off that morning, that they had to wake me out of basically a coma on the floor.
Better he thought that than something else. Yeah.
If you know Coach P, you would it just assumes to him that the other thing would have never, ever, ever happened. Just was a lot of fun. I had I've always had so many fun times at the games, and the experiences that everyone gets to provide for the coaches. The hardest one for the coaches to kind of chill out and have fun, right? And as an assistant coach, I used to try to find ways to do it. It was always hard. I'm an uptight guy. And so this is the new Dan. I'm going to have a lot of, if you get me in your bowl game now, we're going to have a great time of how we go do things. But we always try to see things in the hospitality rooms that we have a great time. The experiences. I always love going to do things that you didn't get to do when you go to the cities. So the second you get a bowl game, you're immediately on to restaurants. Now, you got to understand, living in Starkville, Mississippi for 9 years, the first thing I'm doing is an Italian restaurant, right? So when we get to Miami, what's my Italian restaurant in Miami? It's on the waterfront. No Orange Bowl people here? Il Gabbiano. There we go. See? It's not hard. Okay? I mean, I already know I'm getting Joe's Stone Crab. When you go there, you're getting your night at Joe's Stone Crab. which unfortunately the worst bowl I was at, I wasn't at for the 2008 national championship game, because you want the another tough experience. I take the head job at Mississippi State. We're playing in the Orange Bowl for the BCS. It's the second game at the time for the BCS national championship game. And I go back with Urban, and he's like, okay, hey, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., I need you to be the offensive coordinator at Florida. Then after 6 p.m., you're on your own, or whatever, to 4 p.m., whenever we'd finish for the day. So as everybody's all packing up to go to Joe Stonecrab for the night, I then get to become the head coach at Mississippi State till from like 4 to midnight to get that work done. So I missed it that trip, even though I did enjoy it the next one when I was the head coach at Mississippi State. I'm a foodie, so I love everywhere we go. What restaurant are you going to? Are you stopping at Rendezvous? When you're right, when we were in Charlotte, pretty much the great thing at Charlotte, you can just walk to all the restaurants right there on the main drag in Charlotte to go to all the different food places and the cocktails. I will say this, though. I do recall only one time passing out and not being ready to make it to a practice, and I was a young GA and tried to learn my lesson from that point forward. Tried.
That must have been the
I got
alarm
close
too.
in Phoenix once or twice.
I might have dragged you out.
We had a good time.
Last question for you before we take some questions from the audience. First year here at UNLV, any predictions for us?
Well, you're going to get a team that plays hard. You know, it's always hard to predict as a coach. I don't look at a schedule and say, oh, well, we're going to lose that game, and tell our players, we might as well not show up then that week. Let's just go on vacation, right? We'll go hang out, have a good time. So you expect to win every single game that you play in. I came here to compete for and win championships, so hopefully we have the opportunity to compete for, play, and win the Mountain West Championship, and hopefully that gives us the opportunity to make the college football playoff in today's world, because I know our guys want to compete for championships and not just make the playoffs, but have the opportunity to go win some playoff games. And that is what you hope for as a result at the end of the year of the team. The prediction I tell our teams, how do we do that, is you show up every single day, smile on your face, wanting to work, wanting to enjoy it, love football, and play with unbelievable effort. If we can do that, we're going to know going into every single game we'll give our absolute best. And if we're not the best team, we're not the most talented team, someone gets us, they're better or more talented than we are, then it happens. But if we come out and play with the effort, with the joy, the passion, loving the game, then they're going to have to be a more talented team to beat us. And hopefully we put together a team that's coached, that's the most talented team in this league, so we get that opportunity to win it in the end.
Fair enough. Any questions from the audience for Coach Mullen? Looking for the ultimate bowling experience? Discover everything you need at gobowling.com. Find local bowling centers, sharpen your skills with pro tips, stay updated with the latest news, and grab exclusive deals. Whether you're a seasoned bowler or just playing for fun, start the fun now. Visit gobowling.com.
Well, I think, one, it helps me in the media part of things. I have a new appreciation for media people, so I'm going to be much nicer to all the media people, having been one. And I probably get the benefit of the doubts from some of my media partners that I've been with over the last couple of years. I think being out of it over the last couple of years, if you're an old school coach and you look at, I think the greatest thing, and it really defines, if you look at Nick Saban, and when he came out, and I'll misquote him or whatever it is. When he started having his end of the year meetings and every kid come in and say, hey, I need my guaranteed playing time and how much are you going to pay me? And not one kid said, hey, coach, how do I get better? But that eats at you as a coach. That's just against everything you believe in as a coach. So what I think you have to do in coming back and having been out, if I had stayed and not gone out of coaching the last 3 years, I don't think there's any chance I could still be in it. I think over the last 3 years, I would have walked away. Having been out of it and recognizing that and accepting that you're going to have that coming in from meetings, and you're going to have to sit there and have that with an honest conversation with a kid and say, okay, I understand where you're coming from. Here's how I see things. Here's what we can do for you at the school. Here's the role I see you playing if you continue to develop on the path that you're in. Here's what I see your role being. Here's possibly what we would, what our formula. You'd have to go talk to our GM, but this is, they'll meet with you on that. And here's the way I would need you to improve as a player. If those things don't fit for you, I understand. And you need to move on. And I think being out of it helped me not. Urban Meyer was out of practice the other day, and talking to him, and I'll call him and we'll be like, hey, this. I mean, you can just see his face go bright, like just even a thought of a kid coming in to say, hey, I need this. I mean, like just, you need to get your rear end on that line and go work harder and shut your mouth and go, like the old school coach that you had, like, hey, because as a coach, your complete focus is how do I maximize this young person, right? Whatever sport you're coaching, how do I help them become their absolute best? And the discussions that they're coming to you are not helping them become their absolute best. And so that blows your circuit that they don't process it and think that way. Having been out of it will certainly help me do those things and seeing it from afar, dealing it with the media, talking. The greatest thing, I had to go talk to coaches before games, calling games every week. And I got to see what they're going through and then process it. Is if you get back in, you have to understand that, and you can't have that blow your circuits or you're not going to survive in today's coaching world.
Another question.
You referenced there about the contract that they're signing now. Do you see that morphing into more an employee-employee relationship, and does the head coach get involved in the money discussions, or is that your GM?
No, I don't. Our GM does all the money discussions with the kids. So she's right here, Lee Davis, our GM. So she handles all of that. I just say, hey, I think this kid can really play. And she's like, well, looks like we're going to have him. Or she'd be like, oh, you might want to find somebody else. That's kind of how it goes. And I think a lot of that was being out of it, getting to handle a little bit of the pro model of what's going on with the kids today. I think the issue with the kids today, a lot of them have these agents that are charging astronomical fees. You'd be shocked. Some of these guys, these agents are charging astronomical. And then the kids are coming to me like, hey, coach, this is like, they don't come to me. Actually, they go to Lee because she tells me this. Like, this isn't what we agreed upon. So they're like, well, your taxes and agent fees have been taken out of it. And they're like, my what? Your taxes. Fortunately, we're in Nevada, so we only have to deal with one tax bill, right? We have not the state, but two, your agent fees. And they're like, my what? And like, we had nothing to do with that. You negotiated that. So those things all happen for the players with the contracts. Listen, I'm not on the legal side of things with it all. I think there's a lot of things that if you really dove into the coaches, they could give you, this is the best. The problem that we kill ourselves as coaches, right? Because I haven't been to an in-person Mountain West meeting yet. But I can tell you, you're at the SEC meetings, and I'm not, who's here from the SEC, I'll get in trouble from this one, I'm sure, at some point, right? But you go into the meetings, right? And it's like, if I say this is a good idea, and I'm at Florida, Kirby's going to be like, nope, that's a terrible idea, because if it's good for Florida, must be terrible for Georgia, right? And right, so we just sometimes we hurt ourselves as coaches as saying, hey, let's put all of this aside because we have to show a united front off of really being honest, looking at it, doing things that make sense because we'll understand the ramifications. If you tell me, hey, coach, we're going to propose this rule, I'll give you the ramifications 2 to 3 years down the road. Because we live it every single day. And the people that you might, hey, that sounds like a great rule, sounds like a great idea, sounds like it'll work, seems like it makes sense, here's the ramification of what the reality of what's going to happen. And if the coaches ever, we can kind of all put all of that aside and really get together, because I think the coaches are going to be the ones top to bottom that understand what the ramifications of whatever it is we're going to do better than anybody, because we're the ones that have to deal with it, right? I mean, I sit in meetings right now as head coach. We have our compliance meeting before we head on the road. Yeah, coach, you can't go on the road. You can't do this. You can't do that as a head coach. You can't do this. You can't do that. However, you're responsible for everybody that has anything to do with football in this building. And anybody that goes on the recruit, you are the sole person responsible for all of their actions. Okay. So we really pay attention to all the ramifications of what happens. And so I don't know the legal side of it all, but if you ever went to the coaches and say, hey, draw the plan and we'll make it legally fit for everybody, I think you'd get a great solution to all the different things going on in college football.
Well, Dan, we've run out of time. Thank you so much for joining us. On behalf of everybody in this room, I know we all look forward to seeing your team play this year. Can't wait to see which one of these bowl games you end up in this year. Good luck to you.
I can't either. And just so you, I'm a bowl proponent. I think everybody in this knows this. I love it. Keep at the experience that it provides for the young people. Don't give up on that edge of that part. Just the experience. It's not just the reward, it's the experience for everybody involved. I think it's a fantastic thing, and make sure you continue to embrace that about bowls. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
This episode has been brought to you by Tap It. Understand how going cashless builds loyalty, engages fans, and boosts your bottom line.
Yeah. It's been a long time coming. It's been a long, long time.